Hey nerds, Richard here. It is the week between weeks, the week between seasons. So season 3 has ended. We're taking a week off. No new regular episode this week. We will be dropping a bonus episode for subscribers only this Friday. That's the plan. Will and I are going to be reviewing the animated film Watership Down. So, should be fun, right? um, yeah, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, subscribers, look for that this Friday. For everyone else, the next new episode will be dropping next Wednesday. That'll kick off season 4 of the Irreverent Nerds podcast. But for this week, in the in-between, we are re-releasing a classic episode, Demon Vampires Eddie and a Manga. And for those of you who can't decode my cryptic titles, this is about the primary topic for this week is the first 2 episodes of the anime series Demon Slayer. At that point, neither Will or I had seen, I think, more than just the first few episodes, so we'd focus in particular on the first 2, let you know our thoughts about that series and what we thought about the opening to it. So Demon Slayer is the main topic. Eddie, if memory serves me correctly, refers to Eddie from Stranger Things. So we get into Stranger Things just a little bit, and then we also talk about a manga at some point within the episode. This was originally dropped as a video episode. The re-release will be audio only, but I hope you enjoy it. This might be one of the better episodes that you haven't heard yet. This one didn't get a lot of listens for whatever reason when it first came out. But Demon Slayer, from what I understand, is a very popular anime, so I'm hoping it gets more listens the second time out. Either way, for those of you who do listen, thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the re-release of this classic Irreverent Nerds episode. So, stay tuned. Next Wednesday, Season 4 kicks off with a sci-fi themed selection. Yet to be determined, my friends, but it will be great. Don't worry, we have ideas already. We just haven't narrowed it down to one yet, but it's coming. It's coming. And it's going to be fucking awesome. I wear my granddad's clothes. He looks incredible. Sorry. All right. Now to the episode for this week. I'm Richard.
And I'm Will.
And together we're
The
Irreverent
Nerds. Bum, bum, bum.
Greetings, Irreverent Nerds. How you doing?
Greetings, Scrooge. I'm
Scrooge.
sorry, I'm doing a Beagle Boy.
Oh, that was terrible.
Yes, it was terrible.
I think I'm trying to do
Oh.
Craig Ferguson a little more than Scrooge McDuck.
You are
What?
right now. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Your famous Irish Scottish character of mine. What is
That-
Scrooge?
that
We're
one-
off topic. We're completely off topic.
Scrooge is from Scotland.
Scotland.
I'm
Okay,
pretty
thank
sure. Yeah. That's right.
I thought so, but I was getting confused.
For the longest time, I couldn't do a Scottish accent, but I've gotten better at it over the years. I tell you what
You
helped.
you just keep moving back and forth from the different Scottish dialects.
what helped was
At least
watching-
you can do it, though.
Broadchurch. Have you ever seen Broadchurch?
No, but it sounds familiar.
Well, it's got the guy
There's
that
church
was.
involved.
Yes, there is a church involved, but not a lot.
Okay.
But no, the actor from there, he played Doctor Who before Adam Smith. What's his name? Oh,
I recognize his name.
he was also in
Dr.
Harry
Jack-
Potter. I can't think of his name. He's skinny as all get out.
Ron? I don't know.
No, not
be it.
Ron. Darn it, I can't think of it. Anyway, yeah, if you watch anything with him in it and he's using his real accent, it's hard not to talk like him after you're done, because it's really strong Scottish accent. You know,
You know what Scottish person my wife loves?
Gerard
dang it.
Butler.
No, I
No?
forgot her name. Shoot, dang it, she's on WWE.
WWE.
Yeah, her favorite wrestler. Shoot, dang it, if I don't remember now, we just don't remember these Scottish names. Oh well.
Yeah, and there's a couple of people like his accent's easier to do than say James McAvoy's or let's see who else. Ewan McGregor. You know, there's this, I don't know what it is. It's a little tougher to do theirs. It's not as strong, perhaps, or just I don't know what it is. But anyway. So that was random and unplanned.
Well, that's the best part of our podcast, except when we don't have time for the actual content, which is sad.
This is the content, Will.
This is the content.
You know, no, as I've said before, I'm from Scotland. Well, so to speak. I've got Scottish blood in me. 35% of me blood is from Scotland. Huh. I don't know if they say me blood there or not. Probably not, but my blood.
Man, he's Irish. Say it?
Irish, huh? I used to think Irish. I was. Then I took the genetic test and I found out I don't have a lot of Irish in me, unfortunately.
Well, supposedly. Anyway,
I am 8%. I am 8% Norwegian, though.
Norwegian.
Yeah, or like Nordic, I guess.
Nordic.
All the same general area, you know, Western European. No surprise there.
You can bring back the Norse religion.
I tell you, I don't know what it is about your lighting, Will, but your skin color is so much nicer than mine.
Okay.
Mine always comes off really pale.
That's because I work out in the sun, bro. I'm a nerd, but I'm a nerd forced to work in the sun all day.
That's long. True. You do work out in the sun somewhat, and I do work in farmer's tan. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I get a farmer's tan, it's mostly from driving. So.
Well, I sit in my car most of the time, so drawing while I'm at work. So my right arm is more tan than my left. So
yes,
I know what you mean. You're getting me to do it.
Yeah.
No,
well, hey nerds. No. So nerds, we in contrast to the accent I started off the episode with, we are talking quite a few different things Japan or today. So our main,
that would have made so much more sense if you start with some sort of Japanese accent that's not like completely and totally stereotypical. And
I know, yeah. See that I'm not as good at Japanese.
I'm sorry, we're having a lot of storms and flash flood warnings over here.
Yes. Yeah, it already passed through my area. It must be hitting the camel's anus over there.
What have I started? I've created a monster.
A monster?
Okay, yeah.
I tell you, it has a really strong brogue in DuckTales. It's not as much Scrooge as Glomgold.
I know, Glomgold. We're talking about the original.
Scroogey.
The original series or the new one?
Actually, I guess they both do. There's just different. Okay.
I really need to go get the comics by Karl Barks. I really do. I've just and the other Scrooge McDuck the artists.
Wait, Karl Barth did comics? This is new to me.
Karl Barks?
No, never mind.
It was the comic that DuckTales is loosely based on.
Sorry, that was a former theology nerd joke I threw in there.
Okay.
Karl Barth. Presbyterians will know who I'm talking about.
I don't know. I know who Paul is.
There you go.
There's this 2,000-year gap of history that I haven't studied.
By the way, we got off track again. I was trying to tell people what we're going to be talking about today.
Yes,
that's my fault though. I think
we have fun with it.
We are talking about anime.
That's right,
anime. So
not to be confused with enema, which is how my art teacher in animation college pronounced it.
This town needs an enema. No.
Yep. And I couldn't figure out if she really thought it was pronounced enema or if she was actually trying to slander it. I'm not really sure. Didn't stop to ask.
That occasionally, something like that occasionally happens when I try to say anemone. See, I can't even say it now. Anemone, anemone, anemone.
No, Nimina.
Anyway, so we are talking about the anime series currently playing on both Netflix and Hulu. I don't know what other streaming platforms it's on, but I watched it on Netflix. Will watched it on Hulu. We are talking about the first two episodes of the series Demon Slayer.
Demon Slayer.
That's right.
I love a lot of anime, but this one's new to me.
And to be more precise, let's see, because I don't know if there's other series. Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba. I don't know. Yaiba. You would know better than I would how to.
The original series, right? I
don't know. It started in 2019, so I don't know how far back it goes.
Well, from what I'm not reading, from the episodes I watched, it appears to be the original series. I meant to watch like a YouTube video or look up information about the different series. All I know is that Hulu has 3 different Demon Slayers on it.
Okay.
And I chose the one that looked like the original series. And so
we
probably watched the same thing.
we did. Yeah, you showed me the screenshot. Yeah. We watched first 2 episodes. And anyway, that's coming up later.
Okay.
And we're also going to talk about our top 3 favorite anime films. And
your series.
Well,
I'm kidding. Okay.
Films. We'll have to do a series another day. And for this week's Japan Jaunt, you are talking about. You want to tell us?
Oh yes. I am doing a review on short review on Ghostbusters Ghostbusted from Tokyo Pop. Yes, there is a Ghostbusters manga. And there are other Ghostbusters Japanese things out there, but this is what we're focusing on today. It's technically cheating because it's an American manga, but the art style is manga, and it's an excuse to talk about Ghostbusters.
Hey, any excuse to talk about Ghostbusters, we'll take it.
Yeah,
that's all right. So that's coming up for Japan Jaunt, and then Sci-Fi Focus. I am going to talk about the Stranger Things season 4 finale. So that'll be the very final segment of the episode. But for now, man, what's going on in your life? Anything interesting?
Well, Mandy was going to have to wait till October. Her nerve test came back that there is no neurological source of her polyneuropathy. She was going to have to wait till October to see the rheumatologist. Rheumatoid arthritis is a type of autoimmune disorder that may be causing polyneuropathy. I don't know what that noise was. But after they looked at her symptoms, they said come immediately. So her appointment's tomorrow. So that's good and bad, but good.
Yeah, that's a little scary when the doctors tell you like come tomorrow. Like, so hopefully that's not ominous, but it's good that they're getting her in right away. So that's great.
They told her not to worry too much about it.
Maybe they just happen to have an opening tomorrow.
Well, they did say it was because the doctor saw her symptoms list, but yes, they said don't worry too much about it. But I'm glad that she'll be starting with that doctor tomorrow. Otherwise, I'm just I'm working on commissions, art commissions from Monet. I've been working on this real Ghostbusters fan art for somebody, but it's a big hush hush for the secret for the who he's going to give it to, and just in case they watch the podcast. But in general, life is good. Life is good. Just celebrated the 4th of July. Yeah. It's fireworks. See them every year.
Yeah, we we didn't do a whole lot. I didn't feel a whole lot like celebrating this year, to be honest with you, but yeah, I think the most we did in terms of fireworks, like we were at the park that morning with family, and my brother-in-law brought a few tiny little, like, I don't know what you call those, like not sparklers, but you put them on the ground and it like fires off, sort of like a firework volcano. It's like,
okay.
I can't think what they're called.
I think some people call that dog poop or snake skin.
He made it fun for the kids, though. The kids enjoyed it.
I'm glad.
And yeah, like aside from that, the closest that my wife and I got to fireworks, aside from hearing the ones outside all day, was watching the Stranger Things finale. So it's like
Okay.
we finished that series. That was how
Cool.
that's how we celebrated our Independence Day. So
Well, that sounds pretty cool, actually.
yeah, so that trying to think. I don't think anything else profound happened. Like I did have a few big changes coming down on some of my other content creation. You know,
Cool.
that side of my content world. I'm going to a monthly release schedule for my YouTube channel, The Empathic Ecologist, and I officially launched my Patreon this past week,
Cool.
which
Is that Patreon for the empathic ecologist?
right now that's primarily what it's linked to, but it just has my name on it. So like if you search
Cool.
for Richard Best, like you don't necessarily have to be a fan of The Empathic Ecologist. You know, anybody who wants to support me, I will gladly take your money. No,
So
but at this point, the content on there is directly linked to the Empathic Ecologist
cool.
YouTube channel. Like I took a bunch of took the archives from the channel and put the links on Patreon so that like essentially like about 2/3 of my video library, which I had a lot of content up there, and not all of it was high quality. Some of it was just like I put my phone up in my car and talked about what I was thinking that morning, you know, just basic vlog type stuff. But yeah, the majority of it is up there, and then everything from the Empathic Ecologist series is still on the channel, and I'm going to be trying focusing the channel more in that direction, more towards ecology, you know, that kind of thing. So yeah, so I'm a little nervous about how it's going to turn out, but excited at the same time.
Well, don't get too discouraged. I've got like 3 patrons on my Patreon.
Hey, that's more than I have.
Yep. Just take everything as a win. Don't expect if you get like 50 patrons, I'm gonna cheer you on, but don't get discouraged, because it might be slow going.
Oh yeah, it's a process. I just heard I was watching a YouTube video on how to grow your following, and the guy that was on there talked about I guess this particular person, something beast something. I'd never heard of him, to be honest, but supposedly one of the most popular. He's probably one of the gamer YouTubers, but he's one of the most popular YouTubers. And I think he said he makes something ridiculous like $1 million a month. I was like,
That is a lie.
that sounds a bit much, but who knows? But apparently, like it took him 5 years to get to where he was making much money. Like, so it was a long journey for him. So I was like, okay,
to find him in a back alley.
I'm sure he put a lot of hard work into that though, and he probably had a number of times where he thought about giving up. I would imagine, like if it took 5 years. I don't know if it took 5 years for him to make any money, but definitely to get to that level, it took him a long time.
Good for him, I guess. I've been a cartoonist for. I have been officially doing professional grade artwork as a cartoonist for 12 years now. I make $7 some a month on my Patreon. So my apologies. There's a little bit of jealousy there.
No, I hear you. But we're not here to talk about money.
Yeah, I'm just joking with you. I'm not really. The artwork. I don't know what this other guy does who you're talking about, Mr. Beast, but Mr. Beast. But for me, the artwork. Oh, really? Is there actually Mr.
Well, not his like actual name, but like on YouTube, I think.
I'm not concerned about the money. I love the art. I love what I do. But the money just helps. That's all.
Oh, absolutely. Like the YouTube channel that I have, like I mean, at some point my life may get like way too hectic and I may have to give it up, but I just like I'm already studying nerdy stuff anyway. I'm already studying science. I love science and I love talking about science. So like that, and if I can make money doing that, that'd be awesome. But I would do it for free too, because I love that kind of stuff. Like I like talking about it. I like learning about it. So it's like you can merge those things, that's like the ideal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
I wonder if I could get a government grant for uh parapsychology studies. Just it all goes to the Ghostbuster group.
you never know,
Only
man.
me.
Like you never know. They throw money at a lot of stuff. So
Okay.
you never know.
What are you spending your money on? Portable cyclotron on back.
Ghost detector. Ghost
Ghost
trap.
detector.
You just gotta call it something different, like electromagnetic field detector or something, like
The EMF detector, I think.
yeah.
I don't know. Electromagnetic field pulse detector. I don't know. I think
Something
it's
like
what it's
something like that. So let's see. What have we been reading and watching? What about
well,
you, man? Like, well, obviously you've been reading the Ghostbusters manga, but you'll be talking about that later. So is there?
yeah, that's mostly it. I've been busy. That's so the Ghostbuster manga. That's mostly what I've been reading lately. Been reading anything else? Nah, I guess not.
How about playing or watching?
Oh yeah, well I'm still catching episodes of Dragon Ball Super every now and then. I obviously watched Demon Slayer, the first two episodes
Mhm.
today. So yeah, I mean I'm definitely enjoying Dragon Ball Super. Um, Mandy and I haven't we hadn't seen a new episode in a few weeks, but another episode, but we've been just like you and Laura, we've been watching X-Files.
Ah, nice.
Um, and I'm not sure when you guys are going to talk about that or if you have yet, but yeah, we've been watching X-Files. Nowhere near as far along as you guys are. We're in season 2 right now, about the middle.
Ah, yeah.
Scully just got abducted on last episode.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, Mandy's been making me watch Little House on the Prairie and Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman.
I
They're
watched
not bad. I
my
have a
mom.
new
My mom.
appreciation.
Oh, my mom loved both of those when I was growing up. So I've seen my share of. Well, I shouldn't say she loved Dr. Quinn, but she definitely loved Little House on the Prairie. So I've seen my share of that show.
True. But I've been mostly busy. I played a little bit of Pokemon Sword the other day because I didn't feel like doing artwork. But otherwise, I mean, Pokemon Go. I'm always playing Pokemon Go. But otherwise, there's not much of it going on with me. I've been mostly just doing artwork, to be honest. The antidepressants are making me fidgety, and I can't sit still. Gotta keep doing artwork.
Well, it's good. Makes you more productive, I guess.
Yeah, it has been.
Let's see. Well, so I talked about this some on last week's episode, which apologies to our listeners, by the way. I never did get up the Japan Jaunt and Sci-Fi Focus posted. But
Oh, okay.
we will get that up this week for sure.
Yeah, that can we can save that for. Are we gonna do a double one today, or are we gonna save that?
No, I guess we'll save those for another time.
Okay.
So we already announced what we were sharing today.
Yeah.
But I did talk some last week about this book, Axiom's End. It's a science fiction novel. Highly recommend it. I just finished it yesterday. Read quite a bit over the long weekend, the holiday weekend, and yeah, it's just, oh man. So it's one of the most interesting first contact stories, and it takes a different angle, and yeah, like it explores the how difficult the cultural and linguistic exchanges would be with another species, like how to understand, and develop empathy like between species, and the two main characters, obviously the main alien and then the main human character, develop a bond over the course of the novel, and so that's like the center point, I guess, of, or the heart of the story is that relationship. But around it, like, you have, how does the government deal with this, and yeah, it's just, but it's interesting. Like it's the nature of the alien and like how the first contact situations are handled is is unique. Like it has unique elements that I'd never heard in a sci-fi story before. So I believe it was Lindsay Ellis's debut novel, and I don't know. I don't think
Cool.
it won the Hugo Award, but I believe she may have gotten nominated for it. So highly recommend it. So I just finished that yesterday, as I said. So.
Now I sent you a photo of a comic book called Axiom. It had like some outer space planet with a superhero or something on the front. Does that have anything to do with the book you just
No,
read?
no,
No,
I
okay.
don't think so. I think
Just checking.
just the word, like, which I was trying to figure out what the meaning of the title was. Like, I know what an axiom is,
I don't know. I don't
but
even
I'm not
know.
exactly sure what she means by the title. So I was trying to figure that out. I was like,
It was
by the way,
probably a superhero named Axiom is what I sent you. I just saw it on a bookshelf at the
yeah, no,
store.
I'm pretty sure that had nothing to do with the novel, like as far as I know. But yeah, so that's and then watching obviously, Stranger Things season 4, which I'll be talking about later. And let's see, anything else of interest? Not a whole lot else this past week. Like that's like we finished the final 2 episodes of that, and yeah, I can't think of much else. So, well, I guess we'll get
Well,
into our primary topic for the day. So let's see, Demon Slayer. All right, I am gonna share screen. Oh,
he shared a screen.
share the screen. That's actually a good pausing point. So we'll after we come back, we'll talk about Demon Slayer. So worst opening ever. These irreverent nerds wouldn't know anime if it hit them in the face. I am right now, as we speak, writing an angry email to them. I might even leave a voice message. Dear nerds, you suck. Dudes, we're back.
Dudes.
Righteous! Righteous!
Took a flight between the break.
Yes, actually, I have my own personal transporter pad just over here. Well, I shouldn't say. So I can go to Hawaii whenever I want. It's amazing.
Are there dinosaurs over there?
Dinosaurs?
Why?
No dinosaurs. I've not tried to go back in time, just laterally on this planet, so to speak, or not laterally. I've followed the curvature of the Earth to various locations. Anyway, no, I just thought it'd be a little more visually interesting if it looked like I was at the beach. Although Zoom gets really weird, does really weird things when you try to do these virtual backgrounds. Like, what? Ah, where's my hand? No.
Weird. Your whole
I
head
know.
disappeared.
I know. It's like, here I am. Anyway, so Demon Slayer.
Demon Slayer.
All right, I'm gonna
Right up my alley.
share my screen here for a minute. Yeah, and I definitely got some questions for you, my friend, about Japanese folklore and demons. So, y'all can see this Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. So, a family is attacked by demons, and only 2 members survive: Tanjiro and his sister Nitsuko, who is turning into a demon slowly. Tanjiro sets out to become a demon slayer to avenge his family and cure his sister. So, Tsuki Hane plays Tanjiro Kamado. Did you listen to the Japanese with the
Oh no.
subtitles?
No, I know. I watched the dub.
Okay, so you heard the voice, I'm assuming, of Zach Aguilar. playing the English version, I'm assuming, of Tanjiro.
The title, the main character.
Yes, yeah.
His voice did sound familiar, but I was having a hard time placing where I'd heard it before.
Well, let's follow that. For like 1 minute, we'll follow that rabbit trail. So he's best known for Demon Slayer the movie, Mugen Train, Neo Replicant, and Genshin Impact.
Genshin Impact. Yeah, I played Genshin Impact. That might be where I've heard it then.
As well as Super Smash Brothers.
Super Smash Brothers? Well, what did you play in that? Oh, well, I don't have Ultimate. I'd like to have Ultimate, but it's not a lot of fun when you don't have actual real friends to play with in person right there in the living room.
It looks like Abby Trott may have done both the Japanese and American dubbed versions. But
are you serious?
Perhaps she's of Japanese descent. They don't have another woman listed for Nezuko. Anyway,
well, Nezuko doesn't really talk a whole lot in the first few episodes.
This is true.
But you're right.
I don't know if that changes. So we have only seen. So Natsuki, let's see what else he's been on. Aldona Zero, Dragon Ball Z Resurrection, Starmio. Those are some things he's known for. He was on Yu-Gi-Oh as well. Looks like.
Oh, Yu-Gi-Oh!
Attack on Titan. This dude is pretty prolific, it seems. Oh yeah, he's been a busy voice actor. Digimon, Dragon Ball Xenoverse. Here we go.
That was a video game.
Here's one we should cover. Maria the Virgin Witch. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you can find all sorts of things in Japan.
Oh yes. Yes.
Yep, some things it's
he was in Sword Art Online. This guy's been in a lot, so he's quite prolific as a Japanese voice actor. So Go Natsuki. I don't think so. Peppa Pig is not a sponsor. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna stop the share. Oh, my daughters would love that. Free Paw Patrol stuff. So anyway, so we start off, if memory serves me, with the episode with Tanjiro, and it's pretty early on in the episode. Like, I forget why he leaves his home. He stays at someone else's house early on. Do you remember the details?
Charcoal. They're very poor and selling charcoal because the father died.
So he's helping to make ends meet for his family. So he journeys into
the man of the house now.
Journeys into town, I guess.
Yeah, down the mountain town.
And I know I missed a few things in there because, like, when you got the subtitles, like if you look away for just a second, you're like,
you're watching the Japanese.
It's like you miss. Yes, I did listen to the original. Well, at least I'm assuming it's the original, but the Japanese voice actors and with the subtitles.
Now, did you also watch the dub or only the Japanese?
Only the Japanese. I didn't have time to watch both. Cool. So,
did they have an option for the English on Netflix?
I'm sure they did. I think mine either is the way I had it set up or just the way they it defaulted to the Japanese audio with subtitles.
I was just wondering because in the one, well, the original Dragon Ball on Hulu, I can only watch it in Japanese with subtitles. I was just wondering. I know an English version of that exists. And I don't know why I can't watch it on Hulu, but like the English Dragon Ball might be on Funimation. It's just confusing. So I was just wondering about the situation with Demon Slayer on Netflix, or if you purposely chose to be a purist and only watch Japanese.
I mean, I do normally do that when I watch foreign films of any type, whether it's live action or whether it's anime. Typically, I like hearing the original voice actors, in the original language that the film was, in a sense, intended for. Because to me, I think there's there's emotional context that that
Right.
gets lost in translation, so to speak. Um, like even Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, another example. I watched that with the subtitles back in the day, like, and so yeah, I typically prefer that because yeah, I think I mean, not to mention just the simple aesthetic that their words match the mouth more closely.
True.
I know they try to get it close, but then sometimes that messes up the translation, and it's just yeah, you miss a few things, I think.
That is
Um,
very true.
Now, I will say there are a couple of, which we'll talk about later, but there were a couple of anime films that I did watch the English dub. A couple of but they had like did a really excellent job with the English dub. Howl's Moving Castle was one,
Yes.
and
Beautiful.
Spirited Away, I think, was another. It's like those two, which those are two of my top three. Spoilers.
And why wouldn't they be? They're Studio Ghibli. Yeah.
Exactly. Um, so anyway, that's a preview of what is to come. No. So, what do you think of the opening of the first episode?
You mean
Like the opening scene or the opening sequence, I guess.
well, I thought it started out strong. I think that the series in the first episode starts out strong. I didn't know a lot about Demon Slayer before watching it. So I really love the fact that it takes place in feudal Japan. I didn't look it up. But I'm wondering what century of feudal Japan takes place in, although I would assume the 15 or 1600s. Uh, anyway, I liked it. I liked the opening. Um, I was, counting all of his siblings.
What'd you think of the music? The music was pretty it was a big presence there, I feel like, especially in the first maybe 5
Oh, it was
minutes or
great.
so of the episode.
It was great. I tried listening to the theme song for the next episode as well as the ending songs, but I thought they were great. The music in general. I was listening to the dub. I'm actually wondering how the dub and sub might differ. I think that today a lot of translated anime actually the translation teams try to stick to all the original music uh, instead of dumbing it down for children. I think that it, it's probably going to be the same, but I'm actually wondering about that. I did forget that the episode opens up with him carrying his sister like that. So yeah, that was it did start strong.
Yeah, like it in a sense it starts with a very dramatic point and then kind of rewinds a bit and shows you what led up to that. Um,
I think is typical for anime, but it's a strong point that it makes.
yeah, so like so let's see here. So I have a question down here.
Yes.
What what do you know about the Japanese view of demons? Like, because I don't know how typical the presentation of the demons was compared to like Japanese folklore and things like that, or if they took liberties. Obviously, it's different than the idea of kind of the Western Christian concept of demons. Like,
Absolutely. Well, my understanding, I mean, I'm not a specialist or anything, but what I know about yokai abakemono is that a great deal of Japanese evil spirits, I mean, obviously, like what you said, first of all, they're not like Western demons, but I think that they're more flesh and blood creatures. They're supernatural, but they're mortal in that they can be killed.
it's probably another
But
storm warning.
yeah, it's just another flash flood warning. Um, so yeah, so basically in the West here, we would just call them monsters, you know, and while I was watching this, I was thinking, what kind of yokai or Bakemono is this? And my basic thought was, I couldn't place it. They seem more like vampires, like Western
Yeah,
vampires. But when our main protagonist, when he comes home to find his dead family, they say, well, that the demons are going to eat them up, but his family's bodies are still there. So I'm not sure, did something scare off the demon or do they just suck blood?
yeah, that was a little
Yeah.
confusing that you mentioned it because yeah, the at least in the subtitles that I saw, like when he's warned about them, they call him was it man-eating demons,
Yeah.
and so it's like,
So it says
but if
later,
he,
well,
yeah,
they'll eat you up.
does he just drink the blood like you said, or do they sometimes eat the flesh too? Like, um,
So
when he,
I'm sorry for interrupting. I don't think that they're based on any one particular yokai or bakemono, although it could be wrong. Um, Although I will say that in Japanese folklore and stories about the yokai, that animals such as the shape-shifting cat or the shape-shifting fox, aka kitsune, will often take the form of a human or something in order to deceive their prey, and they will eat them. So it could be more like that, you know. Uh, that at least is consistent. That uh, they eat humans. That's about the only link I can really find with the yokai, the traditional yokai.
yeah, because the demon that they meet in the second episode is pretty freaky.
Yeah,
It's like he gets decapitated at one point, but then his body continues fighting, and then his head grows an extra set of arms,
yeah,
and
that was
then
fun.
starts fighting Tanjiro. I was
That
like,
was fun.
what?
Uh, See, and speaking of that, well, that's not typical of vampires either. Although they can
Yeah,
transform into a bat or
it's a
smoke
really
uh mist.
what's really interesting because like he's drinking blood when they come up on him, and then later when the sun comes out, he literally turns to ash. I was like, well, that's definitely a vampire reference.
I know. That's why I'm thinking these are vampires. And look, this guy used to be human, and the sister becomes a demon. Yokai don't operate that way. You can't just in the stories about Bakineko and Kitsune shapeshifters, they weren't people that became yokai. They were yokai that killed people and then assumed their identity using shapeshifting.
Hmm.
So in the beginning, I was wondering, well, is this really his sister, or is this just a demon pretending to be his sister? But
Yeah,
apparently, it is his sister. Apparently, so I'm thinking this is definitely influenced by vampires, which is might be more interesting for the Japanese audience. The anime manga, I'm assuming it was based on a manga, was originally created for, because Western stuff,
hmm,
European, maybe it's more interesting than what they're used to ingesting or digesting.
maybe like Castlevania, kind of some along those.
Yeah, absolutely. And Legend of Zelda, it's because it's foreign to them. It's just like how we in America enjoy anime
Yeah,
because it's different, it's exotic. Well, for them, we're exotic.
fair point.
So maybe this is more influenced by vampires than it is by actual Japanese demons.
And here it's interesting. So I wonder if this had something to do with how she was able to resist some of the urges, but Netsuko became a um, demon. Like she got exposed because somehow the demon's blood or saliva or something got into her wounds, but she was not bit. It seemed. I didn't quite catch that. But something about there was like cross pollination of blood, but it's not a bite in the traditional sense of like a vampire where like you get bit and then you get turned into a. But it was similar to that.
Right.
It seems like.
Well, the question is, how does a vampire bite turn someone into a vampire? I would go to uh within horror science fiction, there's been a lot more said about zombies. It's like a virus, like HIV or something that it you can get it through blood. Um, but anyway, werewolves, zombies, vampires, they all create more after their own kind through biting. And I'm thinking that whether you in not in horror terms, not thinking about a curse, but more so in science fiction terms, that whatever this virus is, or whatever it is, it's being transmitted through bodily fluids. Just my take.
So one of my next note I have here is about it's actually a quote from the demon slayer that Tanjiro encounters in the first episode. And obviously this is a very pivotal encounter for Tanjiro. He encounters a demon slayer named, I'm sure I'm not pronouncing this right, but Gigu Tomiyako. And obviously this demon slayer is attempting to kill Tanjiro's sister, who is in the process of becoming a demon. And it's a very interesting exchange and encounter. So what were some of your thoughts on the interactions there between Tanjiro and the demon slayer?
Well, I think it's typical of the culture of Japan to look down on empathy and things like that as, but then again, I suppose that could be universal, that there are just some kinds of people that think that's a sign of weakness. I thought that was kind of harsh, but it is true that our main protagonist right now does need to man up. Um, I think that he showed a lot of bravery. I think his empathy. This is probably one of those animes, even though the other character thinks, the Demon Slayer thinks that his empathy is actually a weakness. I'm certain as the anime progresses, we're going to see that his empathy is actually a strength instead. Uh, but that might be the mindset of the samurai. I don't know. What were
Hmm.
your thoughts?
Yeah, like he has a quote. The demon slayer has a quote. It said it really struck me when I saw it come up, and it seemed a little random in some ways, but kind of but now kind of taking it more in the broader context of um, kind of the philosophy that both this demon slayer and then the kind of the wise trainer that he sends Tanjiro to in the next episode. But Gigu says the weak have no rights. Their only fate is to be crushed by the strong.
Yeah, that was in the dub as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was harsh. I was actually wondering if he was actually just testing our protagonist. I've
Hmm.
been calling him protagonist because I haven't memorized the names yet. Sorry, but
Well, I have them written down, so I'm cheating.
yeah, not quite
um,
as simple as Goku.
yeah, yeah.
Ooh.
But yeah, that whole exchange is interesting because they have see he
Another
comes in
quote.
really fast, and then Tanjiro initially is able to avoid. He's able to protect his sister from getting killed right away. Like he rolls off to the side, and like I think basically like his hair gets like sliced. Like the guy's sword
Yeah, I
just
saw
barely
that.
misses Tanjiro's head. And
Would
and
have
yeah,
been
and
all
then
over right there.
yeah, and then they get into this back and very intense back and forth, about the fate of his sister. And there's a little hint, and I don't know if we'll end up watching more of the series or not, but there's a little hint towards the end, like after Tanjiro has proven himself. He comes towards him, and this is where it's obvious he was testing because he pretended to stab the sister, but didn't actually stab her
Oh,
because
right.
he wanted to see what Tanjiro would do.
I missed that actually.
Yeah, I did. It looked like he legit stabbed her at first, but then when you see later, like there's no wound, like so he
Well,
pretended to. At least it seemed
when
that way.
in the second episode, the demon they fight heals almost instantly, though.
That's true. So maybe that was maybe I misread that, but it did seem like he was maybe testing him a bit because he didn't chop off
I
her
think
head.
so.
It's like because initially he was going to just chop her head off, but he didn't do that there. So I wondered if that was deliberate. So he comes what appears to be a very like an emotion filled attack, but then Ego realizes after the fact that it was actually very calculated. It's like Tanjiro realized that he did not have the strength or the skill to defeat him one on one. So like he did a misdirection, like where he's like running up, and as he's running past a tree, he like threw a rock to distract Gigu. And as he threw the rock, he also with his other hand threw his hatchet, and but then ran straight towards Gigu, pretending to still have the hatchet, and Gigu just knocks him down,
Yeah.
and then realizes like the hatchet is coming, and then like almost it like lands the tree like right here next to his head. And he's like, oh, and then of course he narrates what just happened. He's like,
Oh, that reminds me.
that?
I've seen Speed Racer too. I'm going through this list of all the animes I've watched. Anyway,
Oh
continue with it.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well,
That have
this is
top camera.
something because I know you've seen more anime series than I have. So this is something I wanted to ask you about. Like
Oh yeah, sure.
how often do they just like pull back and have a character kind of narrate with their thoughts? Like, does that happen a lot?
A lot. I yeah, a lot. One of the things I love about manga and anime is that it's really deep and philosophical. I mean, it's not always that way. Dragon Ball is not deep and philosophical, but a lot of the anime can be, and that's just something lacking in Western equivalent. What is the Western equivalent? I don't even know. It's because it's lacking. Um, yeah, I mean, anime sometimes can get kind of deep and philosophical. I mean, it's not going to replace taking a philosophy course or anything, but the characters they not only battle each other physically, but they battle each other uh, with their philosophies. It can be very interesting, very entertaining.
Yeah, and there's also an internal battle as well, like a battle
Oh yeah,
with the self.
absolutely.
Um, yeah, I just thought that's interesting because like Gigu stops there and is like thinking through what just happened, but you hear his narration of like, oh, like then he did this, and then and then he wonders. He's like, I don't know if this is going to be referencing like a prophecy that we find out about later or
I've
what,
been wondering.
because like he seems to reference something. He's like, I wonder if because like his sister's turning into a demon,
Yeah,
but she moved to protect him, you know, rather than eating him, as which is what the demon slayer expected. She moved to protect her brother, like she defended him against the demon slayer, which surprised him, you know, because he has this very fixed view, it seems, of demons and what demons are like. And
you might say he's demonized demons.
yeah, it but that makes him wonder, like after seeing Tanjiro's promise, he's like, maybe
Okay.
they plural are the, but then he doesn't finish his thought. So I'm assuming that's a clue to something we'll learn later in the series.
Well, yeah, I've been wondering about that too. I'm gonna say either a prophecy or just another flash flood one. Either a prophecy or maybe there's been similar cases, but like a long time ago, like some legendary thing in the past that happened, and they think that this might be a new case.
Yeah, that could be too. So I guess let's move on real quick to episode 2, where
Right.
he essentially carries his sister for majority of the episode. They seem to imply that I don't that she's able to change size in the other direction too, somewhat. Like she's able to make herself a little smaller. At least
I
they
think so.
they imply that a little bit. Like at least he asks her. He weaves a basket backpack basically, and he's like,
Yeah.
it's like you made yourself bigger earlier. Can you make yourself smaller? And she manages to fit into the basket, but you're not quite sure. Like I couldn't quite tell if she was able to like shrink or not, but he thought she did. So he's like, "Good job," and he like patted her on the head like a dog.
Yeah. Well, I guess she
I
did.
thought that was a little funny.
I don't know. She's got some weird powers now that she's part demon or whatever, infected. I don't know how she did the reverse ostrich and put her whole body in the ground except for her head. So if she can do that, I guess she can fit in the basket.
So I do have one question here. This is more broadly. Why do anime characters so often get randomly angry?
Oh,
Maybe it's just a cultural something I'm missing culturally that would upset a Japanese person, but doesn't typically upset an American, or I don't know what it is, but it's just random outbursts of anger, like oh.
Well, I need to actually go to Japan and meet the people or talk to some Japanese people who are familiar with their own national culture, but also speak English. But from what I can tell anyway from anime is that the Japanese people are very emotional people. At least when it comes to their fictional entertainment, the characters on screen. Uh, Unlike Western entertainment, Japanese entertainment, the characters they rely on emotion. They're emotionally driven. It's I think it has something to do with the culture, like you said. It's different.
Maybe less emphasis on reason and logic, more on perhaps.
I think it's a little bit of both, actually. I think they
Which I mean, the
well, I
Japanese
think
are
you're right.
obviously very good at reason and logic. I mean, just
Yes.
look at the advances in technology that
Yeah.
they have contributed to over the last 50 years in particular. I mean, robotics. I mean, they're making pretty amazing strides in robotics. So
True.
a little creepy, actually. So it's like it's
Uh,
not quite uncanny.
Stay away from those robotics.
It's not quite uncanny yet. Or like the facial movements
Okay.
are still, very stiff, but some of the other I watched this video. I'm not entirely sure if this was a Japanese company, but I know that they are definitely working with advanced robotics. But they showed development over the course of like 10 years from like a robot, a bipedal robot struggling just to walk to like him actually doing parkour.
Whoa, really? I haven't
Yeah.
seen that.
I was like, dang, this is crazy.
That is
Anyway.
crazy. I think they used one of those robots. I don't know if it was Japanese made, but they used one of those on the Spider-Man movie. One of the Spider-Man movies, maybe the second one. I don't know. First or second one. No, I remember now. They made one for Walt Disney, either Land or World, for live performances, so they didn't have to use a real stunt person.
Cool.
But sorry, just a random thought there. Yeah, robots are crazy, man. Well, robots who talk to you and look pretty real except when they move their mouths and it looks fake.
So we're sorry to cut you off. We're coming up on the 7-minute mark for this segment, so I thought we should probably transition real quick into the secondary topic, which is our top 3 anime films. So we don't necessarily have to name them in sequential order, but like what are the 3 that you value the most? And we can both share a list and then we can talk a little bit about them before our time runs out. You want to go
first?
Sure. I can go first. Let's see. Well, I named 2 of them already. Spirited Away being one, Studio Ghibli film, and Howl's Moving Castle. And my number 3, honestly, it's a tough one. It's kind of a tie. I almost have to put it at a tie between Ghost in the Shell and the Dark. I believe it's called the Dark Knight, or no, Gotham Knight. Gotham Knight,
Oh, cool.
which
But
it's not technically a single film. It's more of a it's an anthology. It has 5 or 6 vignettes, each of them produced by a different anime director, from Japan. So each one has a little bit different animation style. I believe the same voice actors continue through. So it, it's it is a film, and yet it's not quite in the same category. So I guess I'd have to go with Ghost in the Shell. That's
okay,
like
cool.
that would kind of round up probably my top three at this point. How about you?
Well, I will not lie. I don't want this to take up two different slots when in my mind it should take up just one slot, but I love me some Mewtwo, okay?
Hey,
We got Pokemon the first movie and then Mewtwo Returns. But if I were to choose between these two, it would be the original. Um, that's one I rewatched a lot when I was a kid. Um, Also, I like the Studio Ghibli film, The Cat Returns.
okay.
I just really love the Baron and I forget his name, but the fat one, Moon.
Oh
Muna.
yeah, yeah.
I really
I
love. I
believe I
wish
believe I've seen that,
I
but
would
yeah, I
watch a
don't remember the
TV
characters' names.
series. I would watch a TV series about the Baron and Moon or whatever his name is, and the Crow going around just doing cases. Honestly,
Hmm.
um, I've got a bunch of other things over here, but they're not my favorite. But I have them. I really love Rurouni Kenshin, but that's a TV series. This is the motion picture though, Samurai X the motion picture,
Mhm.
but I wouldn't say that's my favorite. Uh, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it's something Studio Ghibli, and I don't know which one. I'm gonna say Princess Mononoke.
Hmm.
That's my third. And Mandy actually likes that one too. She kept asking me to rewatch it back when we had HBO Max.
No, I still need to see that. Mm, I,
It's good.
yeah,
It's
like
really good.
I've heard that it's really good. Like that's one that I need to catch up on. Um, it's just one on okay.
And
Yeah,
then
I'd
again,
love
there's
to eventually.
yeah.
I think I've seen at least 3 or 4 of the Ghibli films, but I'd love to eventually work my way all the way through the canon, as they say.
Well, I highly recommend anything Studio Ghibli for the most part.
I believe I saw it was about planes. Like it was like World War II, took place in World War II. It was the Studio Ghibli, but I
Porco
believe it
Rosso.
that no, not Porco Rosso. I can't
Well, there
remember the name
was
of it,
this.
but it was done. It was after
I
the
saw
the
that one.
original founder died. I think because he passed away, right? Or either that or he left.
Oh, was that the CGI one?
Yeah, it had CGI in it.
Yeah, I haven't seen the CGI one. Makes me
Like
sad.
I can't think
Was
of the
it
name.
good?
I think it was. I believe I
Cool.
remember it being pretty good.
I mean, the animation
Um,
was the animation good?
I think so. I think so.
Cool.
It's. I've only seen it
I'll
once,
have
and it's
to
been a
check
long
it
time
out.
ago. Um, but yeah, there was. Now this is one. It's not one of my favorites just because it's so darn depressing, but it's beautifully done. Grave of the Fireflies, but so sad. Such a sad
Well,
film.
I don't think I've seen that, but the name is very familiar.
It's basically about. Um, it takes place in the area that is still recovering from the Hiroshima. I don't know if it's in Hiroshima, but it's nearby
Oh,
in Nagasaki. And
yeah.
it's basically the two main characters are a brother and sister that are very young and have been orphaned by the blasts, I think, and they're just trying to survive. It's really sad. Um,
That's that sounds like a beautiful film, though.
yeah, beautifully
Emotionally
tragic.
beautiful. Is that
Yeah,
Studio Ghibli? What is that?
I'm not sure. Um,
I'll have to look it up later.
I don't think it is. I think it's the style is a little different, but no, is it Miyazaki? Is he the founder of Ghibli?
Oh yes, he
Ghibli,
is.
Ghibli. Okay, that's what I thought. So
Ghibli, Ghibli. I don't
Ghibli.
even know. It could be Ghibli.
Yeah, I know he either retired or died. I was trying to remember which, but I know they've continued on making films. Studio Ghibli has continued on after his either his death or his retirement. I can't remember which it was.
I believe he is passed.
Yeah, I was thinking that was the case. Anyway, but yeah, like those, like I believe Howl's Moving Castle was the first Ghibli film I saw. And then Spirited Away, I believe, was the second. And I think of the three I mentioned, Spirited Away is probably my favorite of the three. So if I had to pick a number one at this point, it would be that one.
Cool.
Would Pokemon be that for you?
What, the number one?
Yeah.
Well, yes, junk food that you can watch and rewatch over and over again, even though it might not be the best thing out there, it's comfort food. So yes.
Hey man, you know, we don't always have to have the same justifications that a film critic would have for our favorites. There's like favorites that are like, yeah, I love rewatching this, and then there's favorites like, this is so amazing, but would you watch it again?
This is my ratatouille.
There you go.
This is my grilled cheese sandwich.
Well, hey nerds, we got to wrap it up here. So
hi, this is Cartoonist Will with you today for another Japan Jaunt. On today's Japan Jaunt, we are going to talk about, of all things, Ghostbusters. Those sound effects free to you because I forgot to turn off my text notifications. Ghostbusters, the manga from Tokyo Pop. That's right. Believe it or not, there are Ghostbuster things in Japan. Now, this is technically me cheating because this comic book, aka manga, sorry, crossed the line there, called it a comic book. Anyway, because this manga did not originate from Japan. It originated in America, Tokyo Pop, using a bunch of American creators. But I just wanted to use the excuse that it is a manga, a Japanese art style, to talk about Ghostbusters today. So in Ghostbusters by Tokyo Pop, the title of this book, by the way, is called Ghostbusted, and the creators Yamashita, Johnson, Delk, Lorenzo, Shelfer, Watson, and Steinbeck are the artists on this book. Steinbeck being the cover artist. I might say Shelfer, Michael Shelfer, does the bulk of the main plot of this book. But yes, so it's not the same art style all the way through, but it's very nice. The book starts out with a unrelated story in which the Ghostbusters have to help a stage play continue to its finale in order to make money for their client who has called them to get rid of the ghost or to otherwise protect his investment in the play. It is hilarious and involves the Ghostbusters actually siding with and working with the ghost instead in order to come about with a unexpected happy ending for everyone. Now, in the main plot of this book, guess who's back? Back again. That's right. No, I'm sure you didn't guess it. From Ghostbusters 2, it is Lenny. Isn't it Lenny? No, that's the mayor. I'm sorry. I'm channeling Ghostbusters 84. It is, well, that's okay, because the Ghostbusters don't remember who this guy is anyway. On a certain page, Egon Spangler says, "Who are you?" And he says, "Don't tell me you don't even recognize me. Darn. You ruined my life, and you don't even have the decency to..." And he says, "Wait, Jack Hardemeyer?" See, I don't even know or remember Jack Hardemeyer's name. He was the guy from Ghostbusters 2, remember in the beginning? Peter Venkman, aka Bill Murray, is like, "Aren't you a politician? Aren't you supposed to kiss my butt?" That guy. Yeah, Jack Hardemeyer. By the way, a little freebie for you. In one of the deleted scenes of Ghostbusters 2, right around the time that the ooze, the pink ooze covers the art museum, one of the deleted scenes is Jack Hardemeyer tries to prove that this is nothing but a light show, so he touches the ooze and it kills him, sucks him in, eats him. Well, at least I assume it kills him. It leaves his smoldering shoes behind. But that's not canon because that scene got deleted. Anyway, so Jack Hardemeyer is back. No longer serving Lenny, the mayor. So my apologies for getting names confused. Anyway, so he's back and with a vengeance. I have no idea where he got these blueprints for ghost busting gear, but he has somehow gotten a version 3 proton pack and ghost trap equipment. He sided with some ghosts at an old Shandor building. I don't know what the backstory is there, but there are tons of ghosts living in it. And they build these equipment with the help of a ghost scientist, Egon Spengler's mentor, from like MIT or something. And they use these to trap the Ghostbusters. Yes, they suck their souls right out of them. And they trap the Ghostbusters and then hook up their comatose bodies on life support. Sounds a little Return of the Ghostbusters to you? Well, that's okay because, well, that came out in 2007. When did this come out? Anyway, Return of the Ghostbusters was a really good fan film. Now, you got me wondering which one of these books came out first. In the fan film Return of the Ghostbusters, the villain uses the ghost traps, which he stole in order to suck out the souls of the living. Okay, this is 2008 when it came out. It could have lifted that idea from Return of the Ghostbusters by Hank Braxton, but maybe not. Maybe this was actually being made around the same time. It was just a coincidence. Anyway, so Winston saves the day. Spoiler alert. And Egon Spengler has to make the hard decision on what to do about his mentor. Jack Hardemeyer, they have to deal with him. What happens to him, wait and find out. Anyway, so just as the opening of this book began it. Is that a thing? Okay, well, this story likewise, this manga likewise, a book ends it with another standalone story. Maybe my favorite in this book. Both the beginning story and end story are a lot of fun, and I think very much worth it, and very much in service of the major plot, because the major plot is serious, and these two are just some fun stories, and I think I love them more than the main plot, although Michael Shelfer's work in here, especially on Janine and Egon, are perfect renditions of the character. I mean, Egon's a little young looking, but I just kind of love the way he draws him. Anyway, so it bookends with a little story where the Ghostbusters have to take on Gozer's trans brother, I think. Well, technically, Gozer was a he anyway, and played by a woman, so anyway. So they're fighting against a fashion designer who is actually the sibling of Gozer. They have to fight high fashion with low fashion and save the city from crippling possessed clothing. And in the process, Winston opens up his own flight suit store, goes into business. I wonder if that's what he was doing in Afterlife. Probably not. Anyway, if you enjoy Ghostbusters, if you enjoy manga, if you enjoy a one-shot manga book, there's only one volume. Tokyo Pop did go out of business, and I should have looked on Amazon or something to figure out where to get Ghostbusters Ghost Busted from Tokyo Pop, but I forgot. So good luck out there. This book originally was $13. It's $12.99 in America, $13.99 in Canada, $7.99 in the UK. And I hope, since Tokyo Pop has reopened, I hope that you can find this. I hope this is not completely out of print. It is a great book. My only complaint being that they really did not stay on model with the proton pack and ghost traps and PK meter throughout. But that's just a minor complaint. It's a really good book, and I recommend it. Anyway, so that's Ghostbusters Ghost Busted from Tokyo Pop. Well, anyway, until next time, sayonara.
Good morning, nerds. So it is morning when I'm recording this. Don't know if it'll be morning when you're listening to it, but it's morning for me. So Good morning. This is this week's sci-fi focus, and I am not reading anything this week. This is extemporaneous, and I'm going to be talking about Stranger Things 4. So, before I jump into that, spoiler alert. You probably know by now, if you've been listening to the podcast at all, whenever myself or Will and or our guests talk about a TV show or movie, you can almost guarantee they will be spoilers. Because I'm like, what's the point in talking about it on a podcast if you're not going to include spoilers, if you're not going to get into all the details? Like, why would I just listen to a generic review of something? It doesn't make sense to me. So anyway, spoiler alert. So, just finished Stranger Things 4 last night. My wife and I have gone on the journey together through all 4 seasons. And honestly, I forget where I heard this, but I thought, like, up until this morning, I honestly thought that was the final episode of Stranger Things. So, Chapter 9 of Season 4, I thought was going to be the final episode. It made my wife angry. I was okay with it. It felt a little unresolved, but I was like, okay, it's like the fight continues. I'm okay with films as long as they tie up enough of the loose ends. I'm okay with things being left unresolved and left to the imagination. So I was like, okay, I'm okay with it. The fight continues. It doesn't have to all be tied up in a nice, neat bow at the end of a series for me, as long as it feels some resolution to the characters' journeys. But they did leave a couple things open with that felt a little off. And come to find out this morning that there's going to be a 5th season. I was like, okay, that does make a little more sense. So obviously Max is in a coma, and they leave you hanging as to whether she'll ever come out of it. And that's kind of a bummer to end a series on, like one of the characters is in a coma. But I was like, Stranger Things is pretty darn dark. People die in this thing, so I'm like, okay, yeah, I can deal with that. So, again, if you have not watched the final episode, don't listen to this. So I already spoiled that part. Max, now she doesn't die. There's speculation over whether, well, technically, she did die. Like, her heart stopped for a full minute, and then 11 telekinetically from across the country restarted Max's heart. And 11 was still disappointed that Max was in a coma. I'm like, damn, you restarted her heart. Psychokinetically, telekinetically, however you want to put that, from the other side of the country. You should be ecstatic that she's still alive. And yet I get it too. That's her friend. So to see her in a coma, that's rough. But yeah, the final episode of season 4 was epic, as you would hope, and I come to expect from Stranger Things. Now, the one death that didn't necessarily see coming, but didn't surprise me, Eddie dies. Like I said, spoiler alert. So, but he goes out in epic fashion. Like, he is fighting off at least 100 of those, I don't know what you call them, vampire bat stingrays in the Upside Down. He's fighting off like 100 of those. They're like swirling around him, like dive bombing him, and he's got his garbage can lid with nails driven through it, killing some of them, spearing some, he's just like, it's epic. So he's a hero, and he dies a hero. So I thought that was great, and just the cinematography, and obviously a lot of it's CGI, but his first act of heroism is to cut the connection to the right side up whenever you go, the regular world, leaving Dustin on the other side, and he runs out of the mobile home where they were both acting as decoys, and he draws away the vampire bat stingrays, draws them away, and so he's riding on a bike, they're chasing him, and then he just stops, and he's he starts to keep running, and then he remembers how he ran with what happened to Christy. Not that he could have done anything to stop it, but he just felt bad that he ran. So he turns around and he decides to fight. And he's mortally wounded and ultimately dies from his wounds. Not before Dustin is able to come and be there with him in his final moments. But yeah, it's sad because you've come to love Eddie throughout the course of season 4. Just his quirkiness and at the end of the day, his courage. He decides like all these epic fights in D&D that he's been imagining over the years. Now he has a chance to fight in real life, and he steps up to the plate. So I love that ending for him. And like, I liked the moment. So there's a turning point, you know, where 11, and by the way, my time is coming up here. I've got about 1 minute left. So there's a turning point where 11 is tied up, you know, by 1, and you're not sure if she's going to be able to overcome it. And turns out what she needs was inspiration. And she gets that from Mike. Mike tells her that he loves her, that he's always loved her, just recounts those things. And it's a touching scene. The actor who plays Mike, I have to admit, is not one of the most talented actors of the cast. But he fits the series. You know, he's an integral part of the series, and it works. It works. That gives her inspiration, you know, the power of connection and the love of her friends. And then she, along with her friends, kicks one's ass. And it's like, you know, he's probably still alive, but they beat him pretty good, you know. And then of course, you know, it's epic. Like Steve throws a Molotov cocktail at him, and then, oh dang, I can't think of her name right now. Steve's friend from the video store. I feel terrible. I can't think of her name. She throws a Molotov cocktail, and you know, it's like epic slow motion 80s rock music playing, and then of course Nancy, like, advancing like a boss with a sawed-off shotgun, shoots him like 4 times, and he falls out of the window on the second or third story of the house down to the ground. And it's like, you know, he might be dead, but then they come back out and his body's gone. So you're like, he's probably not dead. And then of course they confirm that at the end, and then you see him coming out into the real world. So my time is up. I'm just this epic. If you haven't started watching season 4 yet, and you don't have Netflix, like, hey, it's worth subscribing for a month. Seriously, like you would pay about as much as you would pay for a movie ticket to subscribe for a month. And not only do you get Stranger Things, but you get other good content too, of course, on Netflix. But yeah, check it out. It's epic. It's awesome. Now that I say that, if you're listening to this still, you probably have already seen it. So hey, tell me what you thought about it. Did you like the ending of season 4? Were there things you hated about it? Were there things you were ambivalent? Let us know through the Nerdverse. You know, we're on Instagram, of course, at irreverent_nerds. You can DM us there, comment on the vid, or leave us actually, what I'd really love is if you left me a voice message. Left us a voice message. We can include it in next week's episode. So please do. Peace, fellow nerds. Nerds, thank you so much for joining us for this week's episode. So, follow us on Instagram at irreverent_nerds, or on Facebook. We have a fan page there simply called The Irreverent Nerds. We have a little bit of content up on our YouTube channel simply called The Irreverent Nerd. Also, if you go to our home dashboard, so the website is anchor.fm/irreverent nerd. You can support us for as little as 99 cents a month, $4.99 a month, or even $9.99 a month. As we have said before, if you support us for $9.99 a month, Will come to your house, give you a hug and a kiss. But no, you can also send us a voice message on that page as well, which we will include in the following week's episode. So, please follow, like, subscribe, all those different things. whatever podcast app you choose, and let us know what you think. You know, do you hate our podcast? Do you love it? Do you think it could improve? Just let us know. We'd appreciate the feedback. Until next time, fellow nerds, live long and prosper.